Today's podcast is brought to you by Behind the Tech with Kevin Scott, available on all major podcast platforms. One day, I want to replace that intro noise with just a foghorn, so everybody jumps a little bit.
Right. They expect something's really calm, and it's not.
And that's email in a nutshell. Expect
Right.
something calm, you open it, and then
Oh, it's just a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get.
I can usually hedge that it's pretty bad.
Right. It's not usually you won the lottery.
Yeah, exactly. Companies that did win the lottery include Microsoft yesterday, who announced, as Paul wrote, huge numbers, and I commented, well, 48 point. Well, I screwed the joke up. Huge numbers, 48-point font is large. Anyways,
I'm running out of ways to say that Microsoft had an incredible quarter.
Yeah, you kind of do. Other headlines included Microsoft wins the pandemic.
Who wrote that?
No, potential headlines.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Okay, yes.
Because they continue to just mop up. 41.7 billion in revenue, and net income of about 2 Bethesdas, or what would have been 1 Discord if they would have got their way.
So just in one of life's random coincidences, I pulled out the short takes I wrote for the last earnings report so I could use the beginning of it as the basis for the new one.
Mm-hmm.
And I got a chance to look at the numbers from last quarter sequentially, and they're almost identical to what they just reported, right? 15.5 billion in net income, identical.
Mm-hmm.
And then revenues, I don't remember exactly, but it was 41.7 this quarter. I want to say it was 43.3 or something. So why is that impressive? Last quarter was a holiday quarter.
Yeah.
Right. Normally that's the big bump. Now, I know Microsoft is largely a commercial business and so forth, but I mean, they launched new consoles, yada, 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 the PC sales during the holidays, et cetera. Actually, I mean, for the first quarter of a calendar year to go like this back to back is pretty damn impressive, folks.
Yeah. Other just big numbers. Service revenue was 1.5 billion, but one of the more specifically the more personal computing that I think is a little bit more interesting is the Windows OEM non-pro revenue, or just effectively like consumer PCs. They had actual growth year over year every single quarter for the last year.
Right, but
Right.
pro revenue,
Right.
not so much. And then the overall revenue for Windows OEM, meaning revenue by PC makers, is slashed accordingly because of the mix results. But actually, I mean, the growth on the consumer side is pretty impressive.
Yeah, it just means a lot of people bought PCs. Effectively, they went down to the Best Buy and they grabbed one off the shelf,
Picked up whatever plastic piece of crap they could get, bring it home, and hope for the best.
Other things they said, Windows 10 now has 1.3 billion active monthly devices. Teams is at 145 million daily active users, and they have over 300 million paid Office 365 seats, which is just...
on the commercial side.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if they specifically said commercial.
Well, they must have, because there's a separate number for commercial for consumers, which they did say. I want to say it was
50 million.
40. Okay, yeah, 50 billion, right in there somewhere.
So, yeah, I mean, just an astronomical, like that's just a ton of people. They didn't give us a Game Pass number update either, which was annoying.
Yeah, whoever's running that machine that prints the money at Microsoft must have huge arms now.
Or they're really asking for a vacation.
Right. Oh, boy. Incredible.
So apparently this is breaking news. Microsoft is changing the default font in Office in 2020 after using Calibri. They have commissioned a bunch of new fonts, and I don't think they've decided yet, but I think they're going to be changing it.
That's interesting. So this is the font used for documents.
Yeah, I always recommend everybody use Wingdings, but they...
Sure. Yeah, Comic Sans is kind of a nice halfway point.
So
interesting. I heard, maybe you know about this or had heard this. I thought they were changing the default font in Windows 10 as well, but this would be the display font.
I guess. So it wouldn't surprise me then Well, if you've heard that, like it would not surprise me in the slightest if they changed the default font in Windows 10 and also in Office to the same thing.
Right. Those might be related. Yeah.
Well, I mean, would it behoove them to have like a universal font that they use across all of their platforms and services and keep everything aligned, nice and neat and tidy? But
They, with this kind of stuff, I mean, what is it called? Calibri?
I always thought it was Calibri, but
Calibri. Okay, Calibri.
It could be Calibri. Look,
I have no idea.
Don't trust my pronunciations of anything.
Nope, nor mine. Sorry, I was just mispronouncing it in my own special way. I mean, it seems like a decent font for writing and whatnot.
I don't know. We'll see whatever they land on next. So
I think it just used to be Times New Roman, probably, right? And
yeah,
probably.
Yeah, I still remember in high school or whatever, college, you go in there and you change the margins just a little bit, the spacing. So when you got to get 3 pages exactly.
Go from 11 to 12 point font, see how that affects things.
Or 11 to 11.25 when you don't want to get caught. You just need them. Everybody needs margins or something. I don't know. Microsoft also finished the quarter, and then this is the end of last quarter or end of whatever, with $125 billion dues in the bank. So
right, just in case you were worried they couldn't have afforded Discord, not a problem.
Although I think, shooting from the hip here a little bit, I think this might be the least amount of cash on hand since like 2017, 2016, something like that.
Interesting. I wonder if they had to set aside money. Well, they bought
for
Bethesda.
Acquisition. I mean, there's Nuance, and then there's Bethesda, and then there's been some other big ones. So there's it's still $125 billion in cash. That's just
right. That's incredible.
You could buy a couple nice timeshares with that.
A couple, yeah.
What else happened? So,
well, everyone's announcing earnings, right? I mean, Google did. Google had $50 billion in revenue. It's incredible. AMD. And then this morning, I haven't written this stuff up yet, but who else is in this mix? Huawei, Spotify, Sony, right? Sony reported that the PlayStation 5 has outsold the PlayStation 4 over its first, 6 months of availability. What?
Yeah.
How? But they did. Or they say they did. I mean, that's incredible.
Yeah. Sony's not going anywhere either. I mean, they're all...
Yep.
And they probably all would have sold more if they could have.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, that's what makes that insane. They couldn't make enough. Yeah. Yep.
Other things that are insane are this awesome podcast behind the Tech with Kevin Scott. We're highlighting this week the episode that talks a little bit about sci-fi, a little bit about bioscience. You can find links down in the description of this one. It's why did I click off of that? It's with Charlie Strauss. I could not find the name of the sci-fi author that Kevin is talking to, and so you can find links in the description here. He also talks to a bunch of other people on his podcast, like Sam Altman, Mae Jemison, Reid Hoffman. Just a good back catalog that you can enjoy and fill your brain with knowledge. That is Behind the Tech with Kevin Scott on all major podcast platforms. Apple didn't. Is Apple today?
That's a good question. Yeah, probably, right?
If only we had some sort of... Wednesday, April 28th, 2021. So, yes.
Yeah, just in case you thought these numbers were impressive.
Yeah, I am.
Until you see what Apple did.
Tim Cook's just sitting there drinking his seltzer water going, oh, that's cute. Like,
I remember when we used to be that small 10 years ago.
Oh, man. Yeah, they're probably sold a bunch of... Well, they didn't sell any purple iPhones or AirTags. Let's be...
The game-changing new product category from Apple.
Yeah, but you know that purple iPhone is going to boost their sales. Like it's annoying, but it will.
It's random that they made one new color. I have to think this was originally scheduled for the fall. It didn't quite meet the quality bar or whatever. This is random. They don't really typically do anything like this. They release new
sometimes
cases.
They do a red one. That's not purple.
But this is unusual, like a one-off color like this. But
yeah, bespoke maybe.
Bespoke, yes. Lilac, as I would call it.
The color of lilac. So, what else has happened? I don't know. I mean,
that's a lot of stuff.
I was going to say that's a substantial. Oh, you already
Yeah.
said AMD, but AMD killed it. Not all that surprising, though. I mean,
Well, the good news there is the data center business, right? I think that
mhm.
honestly, when we look at chip makers, increasingly I think we need to be looking at data center
Yeah.
because I think this is where the real growth is, and then the real size is. Although I guess mobile devices are also in the billions, but anyway, they seem to be doing good.
Yeah, when does Intel report earnings? That will be because they
I
typically clean
think
up in the.
I think Intel already didn't they? Let me see.
Did they? I don't know.
Yeah, they did.
Okay.
Flat. Oh, yeah. So actually, flat revenues. So net income of 3.4 billion on revenues of 19.7. 38% growth in sales to PC makers, but their revenues overall were flat.
It's because AMD mopped them up, probably.
Yeah. Well, by the way, their data center business saw revenues fall from 6.99 billion last year to 5.56 billion this year, which I noted could be a red flag for the future. But if you look at where AMD's business grew the most, I bet those numbers line up pretty good.
Yeah, I bet you're right. And then the other big announcement that I know a lot of people were waiting for yesterday was that Amazon announced new Fire HD 10 tablets. So if you've been
Oh my
holding off,
God. Yes. If you were looking for the perfect Android tablet, it's called iPad and Apple sells it. But seriously, like it is, look, there's no doubt that Samsung makes like high quality from a hardware perspective Android tablets, but nobody makes any tablets that measure up in any way to the iPad, no matter how you slice it. And I can assure you that this $120 or $150 piece of junk, whatever it is not it. you know, I wish they would. I wish they would make a premium, reasonable tab. I really do. They sort of did for a little while. I thought. Remember they had the HDX line, the HDX, whatever that was. But people buy Kindles because they're cheap and they're Amazon customers and they can get all their content in one place. And I don't think there's a lot of. Well, I don't look. They took their speakers and they've made them, from little hunky plastic pieces of crap, and they turned them into nice systems. So there's no reason it couldn't happen on the tablet side, but has not happened yet. Let's put it that way. If you like to settle, I mean, Amazon's waiting.
waiting with open arms, like, come join mediocrity. It'll be great.
Yeah, it's
Or
like
something.
Walmart, but online.
Yeah.
Whatever. I mean, sorry. I wish there was a good Android choice. I wish there was a good, inexpensive Android choice, but I don't believe that to be the case.
Amazon's tagline should be apologetically plastic.
Apologetically. Plastic. It's affordable.
It is. Make sure to check out Behind the Tech with Kevin Scott, and we will be back here doing our thing tomorrow.
Sorry.
Probably talking Apple, I would guess.
Yeah.